All right, hello and welcome to the Steam Power Podcast for Sunday, July 13th. I believe it's been 3 weeks since our last show. Um, so happy summer to everybody. I'm just getting things started up here. Boom, boom, boom. I think this is episode number 45, if I recall correctly. So anyway, welcome everyone, and we're going to go ahead and guess we'll start off jumping right in, thanking our sponsor for the week. If I can remember how to use the computer. Let's see here. All right, so this week's episode is brought to you by Audible.com. If you head on over to audibletrial.com/SteamPowerPodcast, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial. It gets you a free audiobook. It's one free credit, and then you're signed up for the once a month plan. You'll get a credit for good for a book. Sometimes I think a book is 2 credits. It's so basically the first month is free, then it's $14.95 a month afterwards, and yeah, so check it out. When you're done listening to podcasts and you want to listen to maybe a little fiction or maybe a little historical, there's over 150,000 titles currently available on audible.com. They've got a great app, works on iOS, Android, of course the Kindle Fire. I think they got Windows Phone now too. So anyway, we thank Audible for their sponsorship of the Steam Power Podcast, and encourage you to go check them out. All right. So my little review this week. I can't figure out how to use this thing. All right, it's actually a Christmas present we got for. I really look washed out. For my daughter for Christmas, and haven't had a chance to use it yet. And now the summer's here, and we are getting a chance to use it. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can adjust my. Let's see if that makes it a little bit better. Sorry, I'm not the prettiest person to look at, but anyway, it's a little bit better. All right. So anyway, this is why I just listen to the audio and not look at the video. So anyway, for Christmas, we picked her up a telescope, and it's called the from S.T.E.A.M. S.T.E.A.M. It's called My First Scope, and I think it's around $50 retail. There is some sets, and I'll show the links on Amazon, that give you some kits that come with a couple additional lenses, different magnifications. But I'm sure your kids are like mine, where they see something, they love it, a new hobby, and then it fades in a week. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a telescope, because God knows you can spend a lot. And actually, let me just go ahead and just throw the link up there. So that's it for comparison to my size. And I'll throw up the links here real quick now. So that's it. The First Scope telescope. Like I said, it's $50 if you buy it from Celestron. You can also get some kits on Amazon, like this one here. For about another $20, you get an accessory kit, which comes with I think like a sighting scope, so you can lock in at a really high resolution to find look at the star, look at the moon, and get it sighted in, and then look at the magnification. This is a pardon me, I'm not an astronomer, but it's a reflector optical tube. So in other words, instead of having 2 lenses, you have this big, there's no glass here in the front, There's basically a mirror at the back, collects all the light. Then in the middle, right about here, there's another little mirror. So the light gets bounces off, gets focused, hits this little mirror, then goes up through the magnifying scope. So I think there are pros and cons to both, and off the top of my head, I don't recall, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend, but do some research, and this is the one I found that was the best. Um, I have to imagine that if it comes with a cap on the lens, I think if anything got in there, down there, it'd be a little bit hard to clean. Um, but I think these are the better scopes, the reflector types versus the ones with the two lenses. Um, anyway, so personal point of view on it. Um, so we got it in the winter, so obviously we didn't go out uh, too often. But man, every time it comes back, it wants to blur me out. Let's see here. Does enhance do anything? Smooth, warm, ooh, black and white, ooh, original. So anyway, $50, not a bad. It was a really good scope. We were looking at we have the super moon this month, the next month I think, and it really did a good job. I was really impressed. I thought it was going to be I read the reviews and said, yeah, it's a really good scope, or for the money at least. But I was still not expecting much. But really impressed, really well made. Um, and I think it is. I think if your kids uh, thinks they're into astronomy, wants to look at the stars, but you don't want to sink a lot of money until you know for sure. Um, $50 can't go wrong, and if they don't like it, you've got a great scope too. We were actually even able to take. Um, my wife was able to take her iPhone and hold it up and actually get some pretty good pictures through the lens. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, let's get this out of the way and let's get into the show for the week. Couple stories here. Let's go ahead and then let's get started. All right. So our first story comes from engineering.com, which I think I've done a couple stories now. I hadn't, for being an engineer, I had never visited engineering.com before. So our first story is BAE Systems debuts some futuristic 3D aircraft concepts, 3D printed aircraft concepts, which they're cool. I think we've got enough issues today with our existing, on the civilian side, the Boeing 777, and in the military side, the Joint Strike Fighter. We're having issues with the current generation, or the current next gen. So this next gen, I don't know. Maybe I'm jaded. But anyway, the article talks about the concepts include anything from planes that could 3D print UAVs in flight during a mission, aircraft parts, materials that could heal themselves, which I think has been worked on for a while. It's a new type of long-range aircraft that basically, it's one big aircraft, it flies to its destination, and then it splits apart into multiple different aircraft, and then goes back together. Cool stuff. And maybe one day it will come to fruition, but we're just having so much issues with today's current gen stuff that maybe Alex said, maybe I'm jaded. It's cool, but check it out. All right, so NASA has just given it's passed its critical design review for the Space Launch System, which is basically, oops, I apologize here, man, someone really wants to get a hold of me. It is basically it's the next generation heavy lift rocket, and they're working with Boeing, and they passed the critical design review. 11 experts looked over 3,000 artifacts in the design, and went ahead and gave them the thumbs up. So basically, it's for the core stage, which is kind of like the middle of the rocket where the fuels. So and then the avionics. So basically, we've done the initial design. Now we can start going into more detailed design. And the article here on Engadget talks about this is the first time since the 70s that a major NASA vehicle uh, passed muster. Um, they said then it talks about there was another one, the Saturn V, that carried astronauts to the moon, but the astronauts went to the moon in the 60s. So I'm wondering if they meant the space shuttle. Um, if not, then it would have been earlier with the Saturn V. But anyway, bottom line, the U.S. space industry, or the NASA at least, right now we don't have a way to get back into space. We are looking at working privatization of it, SpaceX and Orbital Sciences Corporation, but um, this will this is kind of more geared towards deep space exploration. Deep space being, I guess, out to asteroids and into perhaps Mars. Whereas the commercial space industry is probably going to at least initially be focused more on just you know ferrying materials and supplies to the space station and launching different satellites. So anyway, check it out. Cool article. Nice pictures. All right, so Tesla. So a little, we're not going to hide our Tesla fanboy here, but unfortunately, right now I can't afford one. Um, and But it's getting closer. So Tesla has announced that they are trying to get a $30,000 model um, by 2017. So basically, getting it to the point of middle class luxury kind of level. It's I don't personally try to buy vehicles that expensive. I'm not a car guy that much, but $30,000 at that point, it's kind of like one of those things where you make a purchase to make a statement and support a business you believe in. Maybe if it does get to 30,000, maybe my next car will be a Tesla, just um, because I believe in the technology and I believe it's the way of the future. And sometimes you got to put your money where your mouth is. So anyway, they've got the recharging network now across the U.S. So you can, it's one path, but you can get across the U.S. without having to pay for a charge. You can go to a Tesla station and charge up for free. Um, and if you've never had a chance to see a Tesla, they've had been here in Northern Virginia. They have a store, and it's amazing because there's hardly anything to it. It's basically the chassis, some batteries, some little electronics, and then the DC motors. I mean, I can see why a lot of people are scared. I mean, talk about changing, not just the vehicle itself and how we fuel it, which is that's the gut reaction, but think about all the maintenance shops, all the tune-up stores, the Jiffy Lubes and all that. The whole industry. I mean, soup to nuts changes, um, and unfortunately, for better or for worse, I think it's needed. Environmentally, um, dependence on fossil fuels. I mean, all that you put it together, and um, it's kind of like a no-brainer. So anyway, hopefully, fingers crossed, 2017, we will see the $30,000 Tesla vehicle. All right, quick article here. I didn't get to read this one too much, but I wanted to share it in case anyone else go back into space. One astrophysicist has done some math and believes that there is a new class of stars that are totally metal. So in other words, instead of when the star forming with the more basic elements, the hydrogen and helium, that given certain environmental conditions and whatnot, you can get a star that forms with heavy metals, heavy elements. Um, and with that, I'm going to end it with there because I didn't get to read it that much. But he goes on. He predicts that basically 1 in 10,000 stars should be totally metallic, which is pretty cool. In other words, you know, as many years as we've been looking up into the night sky, we're still making discoveries, and I think that's pretty cool. All right, so here was one I wanted to throw in because it's where I'm an engineer. I'm a big guy believer in science. Push the envelope, go for it. But this one even had me scratching my head because I wanted to touch on. We haven't really done it in this podcast, but engineering ethics, scientific ethics. Um, just because we can do something, does that mean we should be able to do it? So basically, there is a researcher here that basically took back. You remember back in 2009, the H1N1 flu, and everyone was going to end the world, and everyone was going to die, and um, yada yada. But never happened. But still, we've done research on it. Well, this one researcher has basically taken that 2009 H1N1 virus and basically tweaked it so that it can invade the human immune system. And you're like, well, why the heck would we want to do that? Um, the research goes basically, he talks about um, it would help shed light, and I'll quote it, to help shed light on the changes required for immune evasion in order to guide the design of new flu vaccines. So in other words, make some tweaks to see how this thing reacts in order we can build better vaccines. Okay, but and maybe this is just me being the paranoid person now. Maybe I've become that which I fear. Um, is it really necessary? Um, and this is one of the things where just because you can do something, should you? Um, and I'm not sure again what safeguards are um, in place. Accidents do happen. Um, so now they're basically, if this thing were to get loose or into the wild, um, a lot of us, we talked about the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic that killed, they say, 50 million people. But now most of us, immune to that. Um, this one he is tweaked from the H1N1, not so much. Um, I will leave it at that, and just maybe start a discussion on ethics of maybe we'll do another episode, and we'll just talk about engineering ethics and scientific ethics, and especially in my world, working with military, you're building stuff that goes and kills people. Is that an ethical behavior, and should engineers be involved? And there's a lot of deep questions in that. And I personally struggle. Um, but we can talk about that more. But anyway, just wanted to share that little tidbit. All right, so back to some positive news. IBM says that commercial nanotube transistors are coming. So I have to go back to college because everything I learned about silicon transistors apparently is about to become ancient history by 2020. So basically, I honestly I don't know how the technology works, but right now transistors, the smallest feature, which is usually I think the gate, or the connection between the drain and the source, is 14 nanometers. That's how small we can get it today with current technology. This commercial nanotube, this nanotube technology, can get it down to 5 nanometers, which basically means at the same power level, you can get enough chip density where now computers are about 5 times faster than they are today. Um, and the other nice thing is, if you read the article and you go in a little bit, is um, it can be built upon or use existing manufacturing tools and methodologies. So that's usually, you know, when we talk about engineering, um, you know, the Betamax versus VHS and Blu-ray versus um, um, HD DVD. So when you have different competing technologies, it's not always just because it's the best technically, by spec. There's so many other things that can influence whether or not a product succeeds. So cost to manufacture, difficulty to manufacture, your yield rate. So all these things, if you're studying engineering in school, just realize that, not the best technology doesn't always win. You have to look at those other things. How easy is it to maintain? How easy is it to repair? How easy is it to support? How easy is it to manufacture? All those things come into play. So if this is true, that for the most part it can be done, building on existing technologies, and you get a lot of bang for your buck, and doesn't require a lot of, because fab labs are huge investments, and yield rates have to be there significant enough to be able to recoup those costs. Um, so, but if it's cool, if it does succeed, then I guess we can keep Moore's Law around working for a couple more years. And check it out. They've also, so basically they said currently they've made chips that have up to 10,000 nanotube transistors. So it's not just, we haven't just built the transistor, we've actually built some working chips based on technology too. And that's another key indicator. There's a lot of one transistor technologies that are really whiz bang, but one single transistor doesn't buy you much anymore. So anyway, we'll see. 2020 nanotube transistors. I'm sure I can't wait to see what the marketing behind that is. What are they going to call that technology? Because I don't think, nanotube does sound sexy to me, but I don't know if it'll sound sexy to the general public. All right. Anyway, and our last article for the week, and I'll shut up here. GE announces a $15 connected LED light bulb controlled by the Wink app. So I had not heard this. I need to get out to the store and find one of these. But basically, there is a home automation app called Wink. It's available, it says here, for iOS and Android, that will talk to these GE Link light bulbs, and they are, I'm guessing, $14.99 or $14.95. They say it comes in 3 flavors: a 60-watt replacement bulb for lamps, an LED indoor flood lamp, and an LED bright indoor-outdoor flood lamp. The $15 cost is simply for the 60-watt replacement bulbs. Makes sense. They are available from pre-order from Home Depot. Darn it, we don't have a Home Depot down here. We only have a Lowe's. They'll be ordered. You can pre-order them as of June 30th. Wow, I guess this has been almost about 2 weeks ago now. And they'll be available at Home Depot stores in the fall. So cool stuff. All right. So with that, let's go ahead and shut that down. Why am I so washed out? Let's see here. Is that a little bit better? Okay. I'll have to keep that. I'm using webcam settings on my Mac here, and it seems like it's forgetting. I know how I switch back from in between the screen sharing software and back to the camera. It seems to forget my exposure settings. Anyway, I've got some new goodies from Adafruit that I'm going to put together this coming week, and I'll share in my next episode. Let's see here. Yeah, in-circuit programmer, in-system programmer. and got finally jumped on the Lily Pad, the wearable Arduino. Um, Going to see if my daughter's into that. She's getting into sewing and fashion, so we're going to see if we can blend those two worlds together, and I'll let people know how that's working in the next episode. All right. So with that, I need to get down to my local makerspace because I'm already really, really late. And then I got to get on the road tonight for work. So with that, I will go ahead and shut up. Follow along. We are at steampowerpodcast.com. We're also on Google Plus. So that's google.com/plus steampowerpodcast. Join us there. I'm on Twitter if you want to follow me. I'm at MB Parks, Michael Brian Parks. Trying to think if there's any other else. Check out Audible, again, audibletrial.com/steampowerpodcast. They help support us, so please help support them. And yeah, I think that's it. So with that, have a great week. Make it a great STEAM week. And until next time, stay quirky.